welcome the Prime Minister of Slovakia, Roberta Fica.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate very much the opportunity to address you. I am the fourth-time Prime Minister of a small, proud country in the center of Europe, Slovakia. I would like to open my speech by paying honor to one of Slovaks living in the United States. His name is Michael Strang. Sergeant Michael Strang served in the U.S. Marine Corps during World War II and commanded a squad of soldiers on the Pacific island of Iwo Jima. And it was the very same squad that raised the victorious American flag on Iwo Jima exactly 80 years ago on February 23, 1945. A photograph from that event became the inspiration for the Marine Corps War Memorial in Arlington. I was in Arlington today and bowed before Michael Strang's grave. In doing so, I paid my respect not only to him, but to all American soldiers who fought and died in the Second World War. The contribution of American troops to defeat fascism is unquestionable. Please do not allow new Hitlers to arise. Please do not allow anyone to question the horrors of the Holocaust. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we can celebrate the 80th anniversary of the end of the Second World War by stopping the senseless killing of Ukrainians and Russians in Ukraine. The energy and determination with which your President Donald Trump has entered into the peace process in Ukraine is admirable. He has many supporters in Europe for his directness and for spreading the truth. My good friend, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán, recently complained, with a smile on his face, of course, that he has been trying to hold a mirror up to the European Union for years, and that the process has been extremely slow. And then Donald Trump comes along and manages to do it in a matter of days. If you will allow me, I also join Viktor Orbán in this complaint today, again with a smile on my face, of course. If there is one thing Europe needs today, it is the truth. If there is anything Europe needs every more, is the diversity of opinion and respect for it. The politics of only one single correct political opinion is devastating us and has serious practical consequences. If you go against the current, you are excluded and punished. Between 2020 and 2023, criminal law was brutally abused against the Slovak opposition, of which I was the leader. I myself was charged 4 times for political activity, illegally monitored and wiretapped. However, the institutions of the European Union remained silent because they had a submissive and vassal government in Slovakia. Ladies and gentlemen, no one is disputing that Russia's use of military force in Ukraine was a violation of international law. However, Russia had serious security reasons for doing so because it has long been misled on the issue of NATO enlargement. The conflict could have been brought to an end shortly after it began. The absolute majority of the European Union member states, with the exception of Slovakia and Hungary, have endorsed the idea that the war in Ukraine should be used to weaken Russia politically and economically. Ukraine has been the victim of a bad strategy. Today, it is evident that the limitless financial, military, and political support, coupled with the anti-Russian sanctions, did not bring its effect. I was among those who warned against senseless killing, calling for ceasefire and supporting all peace plans. As a reward, I was branded a Russian agent. The word peace has been virtually unused in Europe for the last 3 years. Whoever spoke of peace was a warmonger. Whoever supported the war in Ukraine was a peace activist. Ladies and gentlemen, your president is doing Europe a great service. He's bringing truth, and we all hope peace back to Europe. The attitude of the major European players and of President Zelensky of Ukraine, therefore, comes as an unpleasant surprise to me. They are pushing themselves to the US-Russian peace negotiation table, even though for 3 years now they have and still do openly support the war in Ukraine. More and more, it seems that President Zelensky actually needs this war. When there is war, there cannot be democratic elections. Zelensky is particularly worried about that. Let us recall in what a favorable situation Winston Churchill lost the 1945 election in Great Britain. When there is a war, it is difficult to investigate where a huge part of the funding given to Ukraine ended up, where an enormous number of arms ended up. When there is a war, Zelensky knows that he has total support of the European Union. I say all this quite openly, as Prime Minister of Slovakia, a country which is bordering Ukraine. Yes, we have to recognize that peace is being negotiated at a time when Ukraine is very weak. That is also why the proposals may come out of the negotiations may not correspond to the idea of a just and sustainable peace for Ukraine and its territorial integrity. However, Europe should in any case help the US President to end the senseless killing in Ukraine as quickly as possible and not hinder him from achieving this goal. Ladies and gentlemen, I have spoken many times today about the truth, respect for different opinions. It is particularly dangerous when the response to a different opinion is not just to ignore or disrespect it, but when the opponents reach for radicalization and violence. Such dangerous radicalization is now typical for liberal and progressive ideologies, which in addition to this new quality of political conduct, promote abnormalities in everyday life and present them as normal and healthy. Let the attempt to assassinate your president or me be the proof of my claim. I grew up in a regular family where my father worked as a worker in a furniture factory and my mother as a shop assistant. Our lives were dominated by straight talk, common sense, respect and consideration for others. I brought a strong social sense from my family, and as an ordinary person, I openly espouse all the values associated with a common sense and a normality. As a politician, I add to this the respect for international law, for the principle of non-interference in the internal affairs of other countries, for sovereignty and strong national leadership. If anyone thinks that we will be intimidated by violence and that we will stray from this path of values, they are so strong. We used to say in Slovakia, what does not kill us, make us stronger. I intend to continue my efforts to amend the Constitution to improve the protection of fundamental values. When we adopted the Constitution of Slovakia in 1992, we had no idea that there might be a need to constitutionally define marriage in order to create a barrier to woke ideologies. The need arose, and we incorporated into the Constitution the definition of marriage as the unique union of a man and a woman. After all, marriage with this meaning has served for centuries as the cornerstone of Slovak families. We do not intend to question it because of external pressures or fashionable ideological trends. We are now working to recognize in the Constitution only two sexes, male and female, nothing else. Then the conditions for adoption of children only by spouses, and the prohibition of teaching anything in schools that would contradict these constitutional definitions. With a great respect, we are also following your President's administration fight against illegal immigration. As Slovak Prime Minister, I too feel a strong commitment to protecting our borders and national sovereignty from external threats, foremost among which is the impact of illegal migration. That's why I blocked the redistribution of illegal migrants among the European Union member states on the basis of so-called mandatory quotas. Ladies and gentlemen, it is difficult to build a barrier against dangerous woke ideologies if they have substantial support in an entire network of NGOs and media. These, often financed from abroad, are turning into active political anti-government actors, of course, with no political accountability to the citizens. I recently sent a letter to Mr. Elon Musk about the role that organizations such as USAID have played in the unwarranted interference into sovereign internal affairs of other countries. I agree that we need to separate useful and beneficial projects from flagrant interference into Slovakia's internal affairs. The message I sent to Mr. Musk was very clear. We in Europe must oppose such interference and demand transparency and access to all information as the anti-government NGOs and media funded by USAID have been. We must protect our sovereignty, our right to choose our future, and to take decisions without external pressures. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, may I say a few words about the powerful movements that have emerged in the United States and globally, MAGA and MEGA. These movements are not only simply slogans. They represent a vision that resonates urgently not only in the United States, but across the world. I know, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I know that you want fairness, reciprocity, and high-quality jobs. So do we. So let's talk. Let's work on it. Let's resolve our differences as friends and avoid pain of tariffs, measures, and countermeasures. I am known for my critical views on the European Union. At the same time, I am absolutely convinced that the European Union is our living space, which must be constantly fought for. For Europe to be great again, and for the European Union to be respected as an institution, that will require a lot of self-reflection, common sense, self-confidence, and money. So on behalf of my country, Slovakia, I openly declare that I am ready to work actively for such a renaissance of the European Union. Ladies and gentlemen, just as the Slovak Michael Strank stood side by side with his American friends on the island of Iwo Jima in February 1945, Slovakia stands next to the United States and the United States next to Slovakia. I appreciate President Donald Trump's pragmatic approach and his clear focus on American national interests. This is exactly what each and every one of us should be doing. Slovakia's national interests, that's my homework. The United States are a key strategic ally and partner for us, and we are interested in deepening this partnership. I very much look forward to working with the new US administration, and on behalf of Slovakia, I guarantee an open and frank dialogue. Let us be proud. Let us be united. Let us defend our values. I thank you all, and I express my conviction that the next time you meet the name of my country, Slovakia, you will remember this day. Long live the United States. Long live Slovakia. Thank you very much for your attention.